Game started.
Okay, le jeu. Let's see. Let's try e5. Good old e4, e5. Classical opening. Okay, this is a Scotch. And the thing about the Scotch is that, there's a couple lines you can play. You can play a line with knight to f6, or you can play this line with bishop e5. And the idea here is if knight takes knight, then queen to f6 threatens mate, and so then you get to recapture on f6, on c6 rather, with your queen. You don't have to mess up your pawn structure. So this is a pretty common reply. I've seen that a lot. And the game goes on from here. So now I can take, I think in this circumstance, it's okay to take back with a pawn. You get more pawns towards the center here. You get an open file for your rook. And the only question is whether to play d5 or d6. I guess d5, because if he takes, you take back and undouble your pawns and you just have a big center here. And you don't need to be afraid. You don't need to be afraid of these. Well, maybe I should have been afraid of that. Okay. Yeah, that was a wasted, mistaken move. Anyway, I didn't want to bring my bishop back and lose the d-pawn. And also there's another check immediately. It gives black more tempos. White gives white more tempos. So my idea here is if knight takes, then I can play. Actually, I can't play that. Okay, but the pawn was defended anyway. I'm sorry, I was hallucinating something. Okay, the knight can get to a good square here on d4. I can kick it immediately. So I guess my assessment of the position hasn't changed too much. I still have more central pawns. The only problem is I have to castle, so maybe g6, king g7, and rook over, and I'm okay. But that leaves the knight loose for a little bit, so it's possible that with accurate play, white would be better. But now I have time. So he can take my queen, take back with the bishop, or the knight. He can take my bishop, I take back with the queen. I'd rather take his bishop, though. And my queen is still defended by my knight. But he's got this pawn emprise over here. Let's see, so I kick the knight, where's it going? Go to d6 or c7, but c7 I'll just hit it with the rook. Knight d6, I'll play king b7 like I intended. Okay, so going after the pawn, I think I should defend that pawn for a minute. I don't want to kick the knight again. He's in a position where he doesn't have a lot of good squares to go to. I don't want the knight to be able to move with tempo. So let's play my knight here, attack his pawn. And I just want to buy my king enough time to get to g7 and get my rook out. He didn't defend his pawn. He can hit the knight, but the knight can go to a5 there and defend the pawn on c6 pretty well. So I don't think I think he just lost a pawn for nothing. Okay, and I do finally get my king over. Get my other rook into the game. And I should be better here. There's a nice forking square here on b3. So, for example, if he defends the knight with the rook, I can take the knight, he takes back, and then I can play knight here, forking his two rooks. It just reduces the amount of material on the board, gets it down to a pure rook and pawn endgame. I could play instead knight to... no, I can't play it now. Knight b3 right away, knight takes. I was thinking I could take the rook, but he takes back and he's just a piece up. Okay, so rook takes knight, rook takes rook. Knight to b3. Are there any checks or any tricks? I don't see them. He's going to have to move one rook to defend the other. And I have a passed pawn, so this should be a winning rook and pawn endgame. We will see. So let's get my king into the game. And get my pawns all safe and secured. I should have played rook to d7 there. Let's back up. Just a couple moves I'll show you. Right here, I should play rook d7. Oh, I didn't have time. I was going to say, I take advantage of that pin and force a trade of rooks. So, but his rook can't go anywhere here. I can play rook d7 now. His rook has no side-to-side moves, so it's even easier to win the pawn endgame than it is to win the endgame with the rook. Now I'm going to play. I should waste time a little bit before I start pushing my pawns. Make sure he doesn't have any tempo moves with his pawns. So here, and now he has no more moves. Okay, so my plan is to play c5 check. He goes king c4, and then I go king c6, and then he has to go back. He can't go to the side, and he has no pawn moves.
Check.
And that's why it was important to, well, I don't know if I had to do that, but it just makes this easier. And if he ever advances this pawn or these pawns, I just take them. So now this is all very straightforward. So if I push forward and he tries to go to the side, that doesn't work because my king goes forward. So he always has to go back now.
White resigns.
Okay, well, that was a short game, but some useful in-game technique perhaps for you guys. So I'm going to upload this and do a postmortem. See you later, and I'll be posting this on Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Bye.